was in the Army, and I was went in well, I went to Vietnam in '69 and came back in '70. I was a sergeant, and I was a platoon leader of a LRP unit, rifle recon. So we'd go out with 7 guys, and the reason we went out with 7 is that we carried so much gear that we weighed so much that a helicopter can only carry eight combat troops. So we had to go out with 7 because of the weight. And they'd drop us in about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. We'd set up a night position, and when the sun came up, we'd find out where we were, and we'd administer our mission from that point. Now, our mission was to go out and find the enemy without them finding us first, and see what they were up to. You had to, I always say to the high school kids that we talk to, I probably studied more in the first month in Vietnam than I did in 4 years of college. You had to learn what they were doing, what they were carrying. If they were carrying a lot of rice, they were going to support a line unit. If they were carrying weapons, rockets and all, that means an American outpost is going to be hit. We just didn't know where or when. And that was our job to find out where or when.
How did you get into service? Were you drafted or were you?
I was drafted, and then I did the wise decision of taking a 3rd year to get into electronics. Well, I got into electronics. I was trained to be a radar technician. Well, when I got to Vietnam, they informed me that the radar was run by the Air Force, and that since I was a graduate of NCO Academy, I was going to be a squad leader of a LRP unit. My first thought was, thanks. But there was a lot of malassignments in Vietnam.
Where are you from originally?
Pennsylvania. Born and raised in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
How'd you end up in North Carolina?
Oh, it was way after the war. I came out of the war, went to Oklahoma, and played some football for 2 years at Oklahoma. And then my knee gave out, and so I moved back to Pennsylvania. Went with a company called Data General out of Massachusetts. Got transferred from there to Austin, Texas. Opened up the plant, and 7 years later we shut it down. And I was transferred to North Carolina from there.
What did your family think about you going to Vietnam when you first were going over there?
Well, my mom was probably the most hardened war mother there was going. She put 3 uncles through the war, a husband through the war, and a son that really wasn't in the war but was in a semi-combat infantry thing. He flew the Azores from Newfoundland to the Azores on a Navy jet, not a Navy jet, Navy prop plane. So he, that was pretty strenuous for him, because he said if they'd ever went down into cold water, they had 45 seconds to survive. So that's war to me. And so my mom was pretty rock hard about veterans, and she took it a lot better than I thought she did. My dad didn't take it well at all, but nothing you could do about it. I just knew in my head that there's no way I was going to go to Canada or anything. That was out of the question. I would go to Vietnam.
What was communication like back home while you were in Vietnam?
Well, we didn't have the Skypes and stuff like that over there. Well, we had what we called a MARS system, M-A-R-S, and at night you would dial into the MARS operator, and he would, with radio, contact somebody in the United States. And whoever it was they'd contact, they would call your home and say, you got 3 minutes on a Mars radio. And it was kind of funny, because a lot of times if the weather wasn't good, you just didn't get through. I got through twice the whole 12 months I was over there.
Write a lot of letters as well?
Oh yeah, I wrote letters all the time, 2, 3 a week. And my mom did too. My mom would write me just about every day. She'd write me. let me know what was happening with the high school football team and stuff like that. And what surprised me is my dad, boy, you could twist his arm and have him write a letter, and he wrote me 3 times. So that was kind of brought tears to my eyes.
Yeah, I was going to say, what did that mean? What did those letters mean to you when you got those things from your dad?
Oh, it was just tremendous. You know, something that Dad never did, and for him to do that, it gave me a warm fuzzy. And it's something that you put up with the smallest things in life. You know, I missed the hamburgers, and I missed the pizza where the grease ran down your arm, and cold milk. You know, and my mom would cook a lot of ethnic food. She was Czechoslovakian, and cook a lot of ethnic food. Boy, did I miss that stuff. And so you just put up with it to where you can go. And count the days.
What were some of the best days that you had in Vietnam?
Oh, we had some combat volleyball games in the area. Combat volleyball was there's no rules, and that was kind of tough. Then there was times where I thought I was dead. There's no reason for me to be alive. That we got ambushed or something like that. So, it was ups and downs. And that was one of the problems. I was 19 years old when I went over, and one of the problems is your adrenaline. Your adrenaline, you get out in a situation out in the bush, and your adrenaline is flowing so hard, you get this massive headache. And then you come back down again. Then 2 days later, you're back up again, and that's pretty tough for a 19-year-old kid. And I was a 19-year-old kid, and all of a sudden I had 7 to 8 guys that I was responsible for bringing back alive. And to throw that, I always said I went to Vietnam when I was 19. I came back at the age of 40. So it was a tough time for young guys.
What was it like when you came home? What was your...
When I came back from Vietnam, I came to a small town. It was called Catasauqua, Catasauqua. Obviously an Indian name. But I came back to a small town, and everybody was very friendly to me, open to me and everything else. You go to a bigger city like Allentown or Philadelphia, you got crapped on.
Who was your best friend in Vietnam?
A guy named Wally Wilson out of Chicago. I knew him, and I knew his wife. His wife came to New Jersey when we were in the NCO Academy, and I got to know his wife very good. And then you got the guys in your unit you didn't get real close to, because you were afraid of if you lose one. We got to consider we're only 8 guys, so if you lose one, I don't want to know who your mother is or your girlfriend or anything like that. Just general talk is fine. So, but you didn't get real close to them. Like, we never have reunions. I have no idea where a lot of guys are. So, it was that kind of a war that you just didn't get. Now, the bigger units, they got closer to each other, but we did.
What, I guess, I know there's always a worry of something happening. You never really felt safe, I'm sure, the whole time you were there. But what were some of the, I guess, the parts you were willing to talk about that were some of the dark times where you knew that it was hard to get through it?
Well, first of all, I wrote a letter to my mom and dad that I was killed, and I didn't suffer and all that stuff. And I gave it to the mail clerk. The mail clerk kept it in the post office, his post office, in case I would get killed. And that was almost the first day I got there. I wrote that letter, and I didn't want my parents to suffer. I was thinking of them, and so yeah, that's what we did. A lot of guys did the same thing. Some of the tough times were always you get caught in ambush or something like that. That's horrendous. The worst ambush I got caught in was what they call a horseshoe ambush, where they had machine guns on all corners. And after probably the first 5 or 6 seconds, I had 2 dead and 2 wounded out of 7. So there was only 3 of us that were upright. And that was tough, because you figured you were done. Because there was probably a company size group of NVA, which is what, 200 guys. So we thought we had it, but unfortunately we didn't. You know, they broke off the combat, and for some reason, I don't know why, they thought maybe we were a point outfit for a bigger unit behind us. That's the only reason I think they might have cut it off. But you look for the good things. You look for the stuff that is lucky for you, because you're on luck. You know, you go to bed at night and you hope to see the sunrise. You get up in the morning, you hope you see the sunset. So it's a constant pressure on you all the time. And that's what I said when you're 19 years old. That's tough to take. It is tough to take. And something you had to do.
Now that you're grown up, 22.
Yeah.
What is it
I'm
like?
68.
What's it like coming to situations like this where you're able to share your story? And I'm assuming that people are doing the right thing finally and recognizing, welcome home.
Yes.
What does that mean to you to be able to be a part
It
of
means
that?
it means an awful lot, because when we came back, we didn't come back to a friendly United States. We came back to protesters personified. Little story. I flew back from Oakland, California to TWA Airlines, and I got on the airplane and sat down. Now I'm in uniform, very short haircut, and my skin was like the color of your shirt, because that red clay would actually get into the pores of your body. So you had a reddish color to you. Well, I sat down, and stewardess come up. She says, "Oh, soldier," she says, "where are you going?" I said, "I'm going home, man." "Oh, where's that?" I says, "Pennsylvania." "Oh, where'd you come from?" I says, "I just came back from Vietnam." She says, "Why don't you go back to Vietnam? We don't want killers like you in the United States." Walked away from me and did not serve me on that airplane. Would not serve me. Why I didn't slap her, I don't know. But no, that's what we came back to. And we weren't real smart. We came back. We used to wear our field jackets out in the wintertime, which wasn't very smart. We should have not wore our field jackets out there. So it made us targets. You know, they wanted to talk to President Nixon, but they couldn't get to him. So they got to the GI. GI was on the street. Boom.
You said you shouldn't have worn your field jacket, but do you feel that was part of just the camaraderie and survival that you guys had?
Yes, you would wear your field jacket if you bump into other vets. But like I said, it wasn't really smart, because it made you a target. You know, I had a big target painted on my back for years. I hate to say it, but I was in a closet for 10 years where nobody knew I was in Vietnam. And I just kept it to myself. Luckily, there was a guy down the street from me who was a medic with the 25th Division. Him and I got to be real tight. And but we wouldn't talk about Vietnam. With each other we would, but not in a bar or something like that. No, you just didn't talk about it.
How would you tell other veterans, specifically Vietnam veterans, would you tell them that it's important to share their story, to open up and not just hold it in?
Yes, it is. I suggest that a veteran goes out and join a veterans group, like the one I belong to, and go in and talk to the other veterans, because you have the attitude. Everybody has the attitude that, well, you weren't there, you don't know what it was like. Well, it's true. But if you talk to another veteran who was there, he knows what you're talking about. And there's a lot of weight taken off your shoulders. And it's really a good operation to be with other vets, because you can sit and talk to each other, you can lie to each other, and all that kind of stuff. So it's real good to do something like that. And then as time goes by, probably one of the happiest times I had is when you guys came home from Afghanistan. We had that big parade for you here, and that was terrific, because we sat back and said, Jesus, finally the United States wised up. Don't take it out on these vets, for God's sakes. And there were so many of the vets came over we were standing right by our memorial down on the street. out there. We were standing there. So many of the vets came up and says, "Hey man, this is for you. This is for you," and you know, it made you feel good. It made you feel real good that you accomplished something over there. And I still say to this day, I didn't lose the war. We bugged out too early, but if they'd have let the military run the war, we'd have had that thing done in 2 or 3 years. But it didn't happen.
What would you say the general public can do to help? Just what do you need? What do Vietnam veterans need?
Being 68 years old, any kid comes up to me, or young adult, or adult period, comes up and thanks me for serving my country. You raised me off the sidewalk by 4 inches. That's what we want. We just want somebody to say, we know what you did, and we appreciate it. That, you know, the old saying is freedom is not free. That's true. It's true, especially now with Al Qaeda running around. And so, you know, just that's what we want. That's what we hear. We hear that stuff. We're happy as hell. Ooh, heck.